but being valued for who we are. And that's a huge part of how we're designed. It genuinely changes how we feel and how we connect with others.
So this is what I found that the 12 steps actually allows me to do that is that once you get in the fourth moral inventory, you start off with saying, okay, I am basically that I am powerless over my character defects. I'm powerless over the things that are destroying my life. And there's a humility that comes in that. There's something that says, I don't, it's a very intricate type of humility because you're taught your entire life, you're pushed your entire life to overcome, to be strong, to accomplish something. And there's an inertia in us to always feel that way about ourselves. And then to have to completely stop that inertia. I mean, that's why it always almost requires rock bottom to get to that point where you're like, I really am. I got proof. I had proof that I was powerless. I was in a hospital bed with the doctor telling me that, that in 3 months I was going to die, and without a transplant in 2 years I was going to die. I mean, that's about as powerless as you can get. Um, but once you're able to overcome that inertia, it puts you into a place where you are now able to walk into moral inventory and say and be really honest about who you are as a person and what you can't accomplish. And I think that's almost the point so that God can come through in step 7 and show you how much he loves you because that's where grace comes in. I mean, every single time, I mean, just the fact that I was supposed to die. And I could blame a lot of people, especially white people, but not all white people. My white people sinners are great. It's the white Christians I could blame, for that sadness, depression, and pain that put me in that situation. I'm kind of saying that in jest, but people break people, and that's who broke me a lot. And I could blame a bunch of people for that, but at the end of the day, it's my fault that I found myself in that situation. It's my fault that there are things I look back I could have done that would have kept me from being in that hospital room. My failure happened 3 years before I was in that hospital room. There are things I could have done to prevent that, and I had to take responsibility for that when I did moral inventory. And so that I'm going to say the theological terms of sinner, which that has all types of you know triggering terms, or everybody has their own definition. But I'm saying that I had to all of a sudden say, I am defected. I love that. I am defected. There's something wrong with me. There's something fucked up about me. That's what it is. I had to get to that point to say that there's something fucked up about me in moral inventory, that whatever I thought I was, like a 7 as a human being, I'm now at a 2 or a 3. And it's like I had to get to that place before God could come in with his miracle that was far beyond what I deserved for me to experience his love. And that seemed to be the whole point. The whole point is not that I sinned and not that he delivered me, but that he put that situation in my life and this situation in my life so that he could love me in the midst of that. Because the whole point was his love. I'm alive to experience his love. The Bible says we're all bound to disobedience, to the creation bound to the subject to frustration by the one who subjected it. That God created us to be character defected so that he can come in and he can show us before, while we were sinners, that he died for us, that while we're doing these things, these mistakes, that he comes in over and over and over and over again and loves us beyond our mistakes so that that would develop love for him because that's how we're created.
Absolutely. And you're painting a really powerful picture of how grace works. It's like the whole design is set up so that we realize our own brokenness Not to shame us, but so we can actually experience that overwhelming love that comes when we know we don't deserve it. And that's the whole point, that we're loved in the midst of our imperfections. It's like the 12 steps or that moral inventory. It's just a path to get us to that humility where we can receive that love and let it transform us. And once you realize that, you see that the whole reason for the process is to experience that kind of unconditional love that changes everything.
So in 250 words, talk about the woman who poured alabaster, who poured perfume on Jesus' feet and washed her feet, and how what I just said, the archetype of what I just said, applies to that woman. 250 words.
Sure, let's talk about that.